Okay, so this one is about the nature of victory and defeat. And this is timely at the moment because of what's happening in the tennis, and I'll allude to that in a second. But this is potentially one of the most important podcast episodes I've done because it's going to pull together a lot of different components and to show, the revelation of the nature of these polarized aspects, which of course are on the same spectrum. When you truly understand the nature of these things, it can really change your life in profound ways. And the first step is understanding them. The next step is working with them and integrating them and utilizing this understanding to improve the quality of your life. And so I'm going to share my perspective and what these things mean to me, and how I utilize them to impact my own life. And my hope is that the revelations that come are as profound for you as they were for me. So victory and defeat, man, they are symbiotic in ways that, I'd be surprised if you've heard it conveyed in this way before, but they are totally symbiotic because there cannot be the victory without defeat. If you're playing tennis, the only way you can be victorious is if your opponent is defeated. And, when you're working with yourself, and when you understand that you can hold two opposing aspects within you that are entirely conflicted, one part of you is totally focused on achieving success. Another part of you is completely terrified by success. And both of those perspectives are valid, and therefore you're conflicted inwardly. And so it's not until you understand the nature of those parts of yourself and you can validate the perspectives of both that harmony can exist and you can continue expressing yourself. So the same is with victory and defeat. And now the context I want to look at this at, the perspective I want to view it from, is the perspective of someone, because if you're listening to this podcast, you are interested in self-awareness. And so I want to apply it to what I observe in the self-awareness industry. Is that the right word? Community, probably better. And the striving for perfection, striving for truth. The truth will set you free. The truth shall set you free. And so we're always looking for the truth. What is the truth? What is my truth? Once I realize the truth, the ultimate truth, my ultimate truth, once I can express myself totally authentically, then I can be happy, then I can be free, then. It's always then. And the problem with that is that these are imperfect states. Impossible states to realize. The states of perfection and the states of absolute truth. In this universe, you will never realize them. And as above, so below, you are a universe unto yourself. You can never understand yourself entirely. Impossible. It will never happen. It will never happen. This universe has been constructed so that the truth, the ultimate truth, is always veiled. It's always veiled. And so what that means is that you have to stop striving for perfection. Now, the challenge with that is the part of us that enables the perpetual expansion of this universe that is veiled is our perfection. And so there is a part of us internally that is striving to experience that part of ourselves, that perfected state. But it's not until you get to this point that I'm talking about now, where you can get to the point where you have adequate self-awareness to be able to now understand the nature of perfection. Because when you understand the nature of perfection, you then realize that that's not your desire. You do not want perfection because it's finite. Perfection is finite, and your ultimate desire is to be eternal, so you can continually create and expand and become more. I am this. And so perfection is not desirable. So you can get to the point where you realize that you are perfect. You can find within yourself that perfection by experiencing the 0 point. And the way you get to the 0 point is by sinking into the emotions of I am insignificant, I don't matter. And when you allow those kinds of emotions, you don't force them, but if you're having an experience in your life of feeling small, that's the moment that you embrace those emotions so you can get to the 0 point and experience the perfected state of there's no point. There's no point. I have no purpose. Life has no meaning. That's the 0 point. That's the state of total perfection, where there is no purpose, there's no meaning, there's no thought, and there is no emotion. Because in a state of pure perfection, there is no reason to be anything other. And so, yes, you are perfect, but that perfection is deliberately veiled so that you can continue to create and become more. So what are we striving for then? Why strive? So once you've had this realization, you begin to ask yourself questions. Why am I striving? What am I actually striving for? And so the obvious thing is, okay, if I'm never going to reach an ultimate truth, what is my truth now? And this is all that matters. That my truth now is that I am a human being, and what I know of myself now is what I express. What I know of myself now is what you will feel. I'm not striving to express my ultimate truth. I'm not striving to express total authenticity. I'm trying to be authentic. I'm trying to express my truth. That is striving. Striving for perfection. When the true meaning of authenticity is to allow the inauthenticity to also be felt and experienced. That in this moment you are experiencing all of me. The parts of me that have an authentic desire to withhold truth. The parts of me that have an authentic desire to withhold certain emotions. The authentic desire within me to veil the truth, to deliberately deceive even. That is what I'm going to allow you to experience of me. This is my truth in this moment. That if I allow my nature to arise, this is what you will experience of me. That right here and now, that this is my truth. Because I'm not holding anything back, including inauthenticity, including deception. I have an authentic desire to be deceitful because I don't feel safe enough to be vulnerable. You're allowing yourself to be exactly as you are now. Now, the striving of perfection mentality for someone who's in the self-awareness community would berate themselves for veiling a hidden truth that would lead them to feeling vulnerable. But they don't feel safe to be vulnerable. So why would you force yourself to be vulnerable if you're terrified of it? Is there any compassion within that whatsoever? You're veiling the truth so that you can be at peace now. The universe and your higher mind, are working with you all the time, bringing you thoughts, experiences, and at the ideal time for you to reveal or become aware of deeper truths. You do not need to force it. You do not need to decide or berate yourself or strive for perfection. Your experience is allowing that to arise naturally, just like everything in nature. Like the organism in a pond, and that pond over time is drying up. Over a very, very, very long time. And so that organism becomes aware of its environment, that it's becoming less and less. And innately, it is evolving to become more and to begin forming legs so that it can walk on the land. It's not striving for those things. It's not striving to grow legs. It's not saying, oh no, I'm imperfect, I'm going to die, I have to try and grow legs. At the moment, I've only got, flippers, or underwater wings or whatever they are, so I can swim. So I have to grow legs. No, it just that your nature arises. Your nature just arises, and when the pond is dry, the most recent generation that is born, will have an ability to at least survive on the land in the absence of the pond. And so before, the organism was in a tiny pond and thriving completely. The pond is now obsolete. It's gone. And now your new universe, your new world, your new reality, your new environment is the entire earth. You used to live in a pond. Now your world is this huge entire earth and planet. You see? Now, what if you were that organism and you were striving to stay the same? You're striving to be perfect, to be the perfect organism. My truth is that I am an organism. I have wings. And so I'm striving, underwater wings. And so I'm striving to be the best underwater organism. I want my wings to be as strong as possible. I'm striving to have stronger and stronger wings so I can move faster and faster through the water. I'm striving. I'm striving to be a better underwater organism. Meanwhile, your nature is seeking to arise in a way that your wings become obsolete. Your nature knows that those wings are going to serve those underwater wings are going to serve no purpose on the land. Meanwhile, you're striving for perfection. You're striving to be as you are. Not realizing that by the nature of the striving is preventing you from becoming. It's preventing you from becoming. You're resisting your nature. And so the nature of the striving for perfection is the greatest barrier to you living the life you've always wanted. And so I want to now share with you victory and defeat and how it plays into this. And It's your resistance to being defeated that is preventing you from living the life that you want. Because being defeated is what annihilates striving. If you are defeated, what happens? Nothing. You stop. You stop. But when the important thing here is to understand why we're striving. And the reality is that, especially for people in the self-awareness community, the striving is to understand the truth. The truth shall set you free. You're trying to understand yourself so that you can be authentic, not realizing that you can be authentic now by expressing your truth now, which is that right now I want to be inauthentic as well. That I want to be deceitful as well. That I want to protect myself. That I don't feel comfortable being vulnerable now. And so that's what you experience of me. I allow it to arise because it's natural. Naturally, I want to express myself in a way where I feel safe, I feel comfortable. I'm not forcing myself to be authentic. I'm not forcing myself to be vulnerable. I just am what I am now. Right now, I am an organism swimming in a pond. This is what I am now. And in the moment that I am some other kind of being that is adapted to the land, that's what you will experience of me now. And if you meet that, let's say you come along and you bump into this organism in the pond, it's not trying to show you that the ultimate truth of who and what it is a glimpse of what it may become in the future. It just is what it is now. And it may be that it's an organism striving to be the perfect underwater organism. Or it may be that it's an organism allowing itself to be defeated so that it can become more. Allowing itself to become obsolete so that the legs can grow in place of its wings. And so you see, when you are resistant to defeat, you're fueling the energy of striving. And what you're actually doing is you are resisting victory. You're resisting victory. So, I've said this in many of the podcast episodes that you, polarized perspectives, victory and defeat, they're varying degrees of one thing. Defeat is on the far left because it's the negative. Victory is on the far right. And they are varying degrees of the same thing. And so you cannot resist any aspect of what that is and experience its true nature. So you cannot expect to experience victory if you are resistant to defeat. And, if you've heard the saying, nothing to lose, you often see it in sport. I'm really into tennis. And you often see it in sport where there's a really high-ranked player playing like a qualifier or someone who's quite low-ranked. And the commentators will say, the lower-ranked player is playing like they've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. And that's what that means, is that lower-ranked player, it's exactly that. They've got nothing to lose. So there's no fear of defeat. And when you're not resistant to defeat, you're allowing your truest nature to arise. You're allowing your highest potential in that moment to arise and be expressed. You're not trying to hide the imperfection of your game. You're trying to express the highest potential of it, knowing that the imperfection may arise, but you're not trying to hide it. You're not trying to keep it hidden. Whereas if you're the higher ranked player, you've got a lot to lose. And so rather than playing to win, like the lower ranked player, then you are playing not to lose. And this is when striving kicks in. You're striving not to lose. And like the organism in the pond, is it striving not to lose? As in, is it striving to remain an organism in the pond that can swim? And the higher ranked player is striving to remain a higher ranked player. And then the lower ranked player is allowing him or herself to realize even higher and higher potential of what he or she can become. There's no striving, there's allowing of the nature to arise and become more, to become an organism that could walk on the land at some point. But there's a total acceptance and an allowing of who and what I am now to express its nature now. This is who and what I am now. And in that energy, you are becoming. You're allowing the energy of becoming. And that's what victory is. Victory is when you are in a state of becoming. I am becoming. It's when you are becoming, that is pure victory. That is pure victory because the previous version of yourself has been defeated. The moment you are becoming more other, the previous version of yourself has been defeated and therefore has created the space for victory to arise. But it's not until you've admitted defeat that you accept defeat, because you can't have victory without defeat. It's not until you've accepted defeat that victory is capable of arising. And so the experience is of the striving, the striving. I will not be defeated. I will not be defeated. Oh, okay. So that's what you're creating. You're creating an environment and a world within which you're never defeated. And so therefore, victory can never manifest. The experience of becoming can never be realized because you're just resisting your nature from arising. You're saying, no, I will not be defeated. I will not allow my underwater wings to fall away. I will not allow them to become less and to become shriveled. And so I'll go to my underwater gym 3 times a day and lift even more weight. I will only progress. I will only move forward. I will not be defeated. When in reality, even as a human being in this life, if you go to the gym and you're lifting weights, the cells in your body that are stressed when lifting the weight, they're defeated and they give way and give rise to new cells taking their place. And the nature of those cells is different. There's more of them. They're stronger. They're more resilient. But the cells that are under the stress, that are put under the stress, they just are defeated. But what would happen if they weren't? What would happen if you put them under that stress, but they refuse to give way and give rise to the expansion that your biology wants to make? Huge levels of discord. Huge levels of discord. You know, it's like huge internal biological conflict. And so what really, actually, I won't go into that. That's for another podcast. I'll touch on disease and that kind of stuff at some point. But for now, I just want to stay with victory and defeat. So I'm getting to the meaty part of this now. And this is the part of the revelation that I want to share that hopefully will really open your mind to what's running all of this behavior. And what's really driving this is resistance to defeat. It's resistance to defeat. It's a resistance to being defeated. And what is the biggest problem with a resistance to being defeated? And that is that when you sink into these emotions, which I've done, you realize the true nature of these emotions. And this is what is meant by the truth shall set you free. It's not this endless search for truth, for ultimate truth. It's to understand the true meaning of the words we use, but also to understand the true meaning of our emotions. What does this emotion mean to me? What does this emotion mean to me? What would it mean if I? What would it mean if this? What would it mean if that? Meaning is all that matters. And so what do these emotions mean to me? What would it mean to me? What does it mean if I'm resisting defeat? What does it mean to resist defeat? Well, one of the deepest and truest meanings of the word defeat is we understand the definition of to prevent from being achieved. To prevent an aim from being achieved. And so you're resisting an aim from being achieved. That's, most of us understand that meaning. But what a lot of people don't understand is that there's a deeper meaning of defeat, and that is to be impossible to understand. There's a deeper meaning of defeat that means impossible to understand. And this holds the key that unlocks this whole thing, is that your nature is impossible to entirely understand. Impossible in this universe. I've spoken about this in the nature of 0 point energy and other podcasts where it's deliberately imperfect. So the way that it is deliberately imperfect is through the veiling of the truth of perfection. And so what that means is that you will never, ever totally understand yourself. Never. And so what becomes pointless in that, once you've understood this, is the striving for that. Because, and when you're actually resistant to defeat, you are resisting deeper understanding. You're resisting the deeper understanding that comes from defeat. But it's also important to realize that true understanding can never be obtained, because the states of ultimate truth and ultimate perfection, of understanding those wholly, is finite. You reach it and it stops. And so in the moment when you're expressing yourself, why are you seeking it? In the moment when you're engaging with another person or interacting with another person, or you're on camera, or you're, recording an audio like what I'm doing now, and there's a part of you that wants to script it. rather than just allowing your nature to arise. You're seeking perfection. You're seeking perfection. And, if you've listened to a few of my podcasts, you'll see that they are imperfect. I stutter, I'm umming and ahhing, I'm extended pauses. Sometimes I say the wrong word. Sometimes I say it in the wrong tense. Sometimes I put an S on the end, or sometimes I omit the S on the end of a word. And, it's because as I'm talking, I'm going in and out of perspective. I'm going in and out of the present, the past, the future. I'm zooming in and out of the observer into the observed. And I'm just moving all around the place. And so my perspective's changing the whole time. So my tenses are changing, and, whether my perspective is that I'm plural, like that I'm one, or that I'm many, it's always changing. And you'll notice that if you listen to my audios, I often use singular instead of plural. And it's because that's the lens that I'm observing everything through in that moment. But I just express what arises naturally in that moment. There's no part of me that thinks, oh, that's a mistake, I need to go and correct it so that people understand. Because that was my truth in that moment. And so this is the key. This is the key to a life filled with meaning, and a life filled with total fulfillment. But actually, even beyond that is, the emotion of triumph. The triumph for me is the emotion that I experience the most when I allow defeat. It's almost like the emotion that is evoked by the victory itself. You experience triumph, and it's uplifting, and it's having conquered and having become. It's like the transition from being to becoming is the ideal state. I am becoming, and then the experience of having become is the triumph. And if you are resistant to being defeated, you can never experience that. Never. Never. And so if you're someone who would regard themselves as a spiritual teacher, I'm becoming more and more aware that of the people who are listening to this are people who have influence in the self-awareness community. And so, are you encouraging your followers to express the truth in the moment, or their truth? Because the truth of who they are is that they are authentic and inauthentic. And that from where they are now, they can never express themselves from a perspective of truly understanding themselves, understanding their desires, understanding their true nature. And so you could easily say, if you're listening to this now, and this is a new level of understanding that's coming to you through this podcast, I can say to you, well, why didn't you express yourself from this perspective yesterday? Why didn't you express the truth of this understanding? Why didn't you express it yesterday? Is it because you were inauthentic yesterday? Why didn't you express the truth of this understanding about defeat? Why didn't you express from that truth yesterday? Or 5 minutes ago? Or an hour ago? Or for all of your life up until this moment, have you been inauthentic because you weren't expressing from this perspective of understanding defeat and victory? Why would you ever encourage someone to seek a momentary expression of their authentic nature based upon that moment having to be expressed from a deeper level of understanding that is currently available to them. How? How can they? They don't understand their true desires now. None of us do. We don't understand the true depth of our desires. Myself is included in that. I didn't realize that what I actually want, my deepest desire, is to be victorious until I understood this. But am I going to go through my entire life and look at all of the interactions and engagements I've had with people to share my truth in that moment? And am I going to say that they were inauthentic because I wasn't aware of this? Because I wasn't aware of my truest desire to be victorious? Was that actually my truest nature? What it wants is it never wants to reach perfection. Ever. It never wants to be totally understood. Ever. It never wants there to be a moment where the ultimate truth is known and understood so that I can be endlessly victorious, infinitely victorious, and that I can perpetually triumph by allowing the previous version of myself to be defeated. And therefore I can become. The state of becoming is pure exhilaration. The state of having become is pure triumph. And we can endlessly become more and more and more and more. So the more proactively and consciously we allow the version of ourselves now to be defeated, the greater the triumph we can experience in the moment, not upon the reaching of some point that actually never comes. We all know it never comes. All the conditions we place on being fulfilled, on being happy. Once I have achieved this, then I will be. But you can surrender now. I am defeated. And this is what true surrender is to say, I am defeated. In this moment, I have no clue about this. I am defeated. In this moment, I'm giving up searching for the truth about this. I am defeated. And what you are doing in that moment, through the surrender, is the admitting of defeat. And through the admitting of defeat, you can be victorious because your nature will simply arise and become. And you will allow the state of becoming to arise and to carry you. And then you'll experience the victory and the triumph of having become. So, this is the true, I believe this is one of the, there's so many layers to, metaphors and things like that. But if you think about the resurrection story, the crucifixion story, this exemplifies this. This exemplifies it perfectly. The pain and the suffering, carrying the burden, carrying the cross. I must carry the cross. This is my cross to bear. I must continue. I must keep moving forward. I shall not be defeated. And then the moment that we are defeated, we arise. Our truest, our pristine nature arises. The highest potential for us to become more than what we were before just arises. It just arises. You don't have to do anything. You just allow it. In fact, you can't stop it. If you've surrendered, you're saying, I am defeated. It just arises. It's the same as these podcasts where I feel the desire to record a podcast. I have an idea of what it's going to be about. And it's normally to do with some experience I've had that's inspired me. And so I just hit record and then I start speaking. And it just arises. Because I'm not trying to do anything. I'm not trying to fix you or change you or even teach you, actually. My only intention with this podcast is to express myself and to give myself a vehicle for my nature to arise. And it's perfect for me because it's imperfect. It's not scripted. I haven't predetermined the words. You can feel me. You can feel my nature. You can imagine in my mind what kind of person I am. You've got a feel for the nature of who I am. If we had a conversation, you could imagine what it would be like. Because I'm allowing you to know me now. I'm allowing you to know who I am now. I'm not trying to give you a version of myself that is where I've written this massive script and I've perfected every word, and then I say those words to you so that you think I'm perfect. This is what intimacy really is. So I'm going to allow you to feel the truth of me now. I'm going to allow you to experience the truth of me now. That I am always withholding truths from myself and from you and from the people I love. I am always, there are always deeper aspects of me that are hidden. I am always deliberately deceiving so that I can feel safe. And by doing so, by giving myself permission to be exactly as I am now, you get to experience the wisdom that's arising from within me now. And if I wasn't able to give myself permission to be deceptive, to withhold truths, to keep the ultimate truth veiled, then you wouldn't be able to experience the wisdom that I'm expressing now, because it's totally untethered. It's totally unconditional. It's not seeking to do or achieve or strive towards anything. Because any previous version of myself, I've already decided and I've already surrendered. So that this moment can arise. And, my hope is, and I imagine this myself, I imagine people listening to this and having moments of victory in their own lives. So hopefully this all makes sense. I know it's very deep, but the key to living a life full of meaning from moment to moment it actually lies in understanding the desire to be victorious. That's actually, for me, the deepest part of myself that I've found desire-wise is I want to experience triumph every day. I want to triumph, continually triumph. But once you realize and you recognize that the allowing of defeat through surrender leads to that triumph, and it allows that victory to take place, is the moment that it all starts clicking. And you never seek perfection ever again after that. Never. You allow yourself exactly as you are now to be seen, with no filters, with no striving, with no seeking more, with no needing anything to be more than what it actually is now. But when you get into that space, what I find is that the curiosity to understand and know deeper levels of myself just arises. Like, I'm not trying to become more aware of who I am or what my desires are. I'm not striving for it, But my curiosity arises, and that's what leads me to exploring more and more and more of my nature. And as you can see by this podcast, the nature of this podcast is that I am really, really into it. It's all about our nature. So that's it from me for the nature of victory and defeat. Cheers for now.